Okay, so we're going over covalent and ionic naming and formula writing. These are all multi-charge metal ones. They don't all have, none of them have polyatomic ions. So we'll practice polyatomic ions more next week, okay? But again, these basic skills, ionic and covalent, and determining between them are kind of the basic framework for us. So remember, these ones are all covalent. So I should know prefixes. And here, no prefixes. Okay, and the mixed ones, I already went through and identified ionic or covalent. And remember, you look at the first element. So here, sulfur's a non-metal, so it's covalent. Okay, versus, let's say this one, nickel's a metal, so it's ionic. Okay, so I'm assuming that you're able to look at your periodic table and identify, as an example, sulfur is a non-metal and nickel is a metal. Okay, if you can't do that, we need to make sure that we're nailing that first. Okay, so I went through and did a bunch of these ones that were already ionic and covalent. You can pause at any time and copy those down or check your answers there. Okay, but I want to emphasize a few of these. So remember, let's finish with our covalents down here. So covalents are two nonmetals. And when I'm naming them, I say, okay, that first element is nitrogen. I have two of them, so it's dinitrogen. Okay, and then I have 5 oxygens. So pent is oxygen, and then the second one gets an ID ending, so it's pentoxide. Okay, in covalent, trisulfur just means 3 S's. Hept oxide means I have oxygen and I have 7, so it's S3O7. The prefix tells you exactly that, how many of that one that you have. That's covalent. Ionic, you say the name of the metal. So an example, what is V? Say you don't know. I'm just going to have to go back to my periodic table and find V. Okay, I'm going to use this side. It's a little bit easier. So I have vanadium. Notice how vanadium has 2 options. That means I'm going to have to use parentheses for that one. That's a multi-charge metal. Okay, so when I go here and I type in vanadium, so it's vanadium. And then I have to decide the charge. I'm going to put parentheses there and come back to that part. And then nitrogen with an IDE is just nitride. Now, the nice part is I know vanadium is a 3 or a 5. Okay, so when I'm doing this, my options are nitrogen will always be a -3, and then vanadium can be a 3 or a 5. And my thought process is, which of these charges would vanadium have to be to give me this formula? Remember in ionic, they switch, so the 3 goes down to vanadium, so that 3 is from the nitrogen, which means this 5 goes here, so it's not 3, it's 5 that's coming. So again, in my name, it's vanadium, and then the Roman numeral that I use is a letter V, which means 5. Vanadium 5 nitride, okay? As an example, when I'm doing nickel 1 oxide, I know nickel is Ni plus 1. Oxygen's a -2. When I crisscross, the 2 goes here, so I get Ni2, and then O1, but I don't write 1, so it's just Ni2O. Hey, on your periodic table, notice for nickel, the charges listed are 2 and 3. In that problem, it's a 1. Just roll with the 1. In general, I'm only going to try to give you charges that are listed here, but realize that multi-charge metals really have a wide variety of charges that they can be. So copper is Cu. It's a +2. That's what this means. Phosphorus is a -3. When I crisscross, I get Cu3, P2, because that 2 comes down here. Okay. And my last one that I want to do is Fe. So I'm naming it. So this is going to be iron. Fe is iron. And then O is oxide. And then what I have to decide is, do I need parentheses? The answer is yes, and the parentheses will be a 3. But let's go look at the periodic table. Okay, so all I do for the metal is decide, do I need parentheses? Let's go look at it on the periodic table. Iron can be a 2 or a 3, so I have to decide. Okay, so when I'm on this one, notice I'm just going to zoom in here. Oxygen's always a -2, and Fe can be a 2 or a 3. So what would it have to be to give me this formula? Well, if they're both 2s, then it would cancel out and it would just be FeO, right? but they don't cancel out, which means that it's not a 2, it's a 3, because the 3 will go down here and the 2 will come down here and crisscross and switch. Okay? Now, these mixed ones over here I've already decided as ionic or covalent. So let's go through the mixed naming first. So this is prefixes, because it's covalent, sulfur, and then 6 is hexachloride. Remember, the only time I don't use a prefix is when I have one of my first elements. So again, I don't say monocarbon, I just say carbon. In this case, it's tetrasulfide. Second element gets an IDE ending. Now, this one is ionic. Okay, so it's nickel. Remember, previously we looked at nickel could be a 2 or a 3. And since oxygen's a 2, nickel has to be a 2 here in order to cancel out. Okay, magnesium only has one possible charge, so I don't need parentheses. It's magnesium, and then Br is just bromide. Again, because it's ionic, I do not need parentheses, or I do not need prefixes. Here it's lithium. Lithium only has one charge, so I'm just going to call it now arsenide. That's arsenic with an IDE. My last 3 are all covalent, which means it's prefixes. So I don't say monooxygen, I just say oxygen, and then it's trifluoride. Okay. Here, okay, I have 3 carbons, so I have to say tricarbon. 7, oh, Trisha! I don't know what's going on there. And hepta is 7, iodide. And the last one is carbon tetrasulfide. I don't say monocarbon, so it's carbon tetrasulfide. Okay, great. Now, formula writing. Again, I look at my first element. Is it a metal or a nonmetal? And then I decide what I'm doing. Carbon is a nonmetal, so it's covalent, so it's prefixes. Carbon just means 1. Tetrachloride means 4 chlorines. Sulfur is a nonmetal, so no crisscrossing. Disulfur means 2 X's. Hexabromide means Br6. Okay, iron is a metal, so here I have to crisscross. So iron is Fe, it's a +3, that's what this tells me. And then bromine, Br is -1. When I crisscross, I just get Fe, Br3, you don't write ones. Lithium fluoride is also ionic. So that means crisscross because lithium's a metal. Li is a 1, F is a 1, like charges cancel. I just get LiF. Sulfur's a nonmetal. So I use prefixes. No prefix means 1 sulfur. Monoxide means 1 oxygen. Copper here's a +1, so Cu +1. Phosphorus is P -3. Crisscross I get Cu3, P1, which is just P. Difluorine means 2 Fs. Tribromide means Br3. Basically, if you see prefixes, you should know it's covalent as well. Okay, this one, tungsten, is a W. So when I look at my periodic table, notice that tungsten is always going to be, for us, a +6. Since there's only one listed, I won't use parentheses, even though know that tungsten can have multiple charges. So tungsten's a +6, and sulfur is a -2. So tungsten's a +6, S is a -2. I crisscross, I get W2, S6. Oops. But I have to reduce 2 and 6. Ionic, you reduce. So I can reduce each of those by 2. So I get 1 W, and I get 3 S's. That's my final answer. All right, let me know if you have questions, guys. Love you, appreciate you.